Hi y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel, and welcome to one viral book, two opinions in under 10 minutes. In this video, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about 11/22/63 by Stephen King.
Now here's my opinion on Stephen King's 11/22/63.
Hey y'all, editing Amanda here. I just wanted to pause the video for a second and point out how freaking cute Jen's nails are. I just love those colors. They're so fall and they kind of match the book and they just look adorable.
The viral book that somehow went viral in 2025, though it's from, I think, 2011. At least I think the hardcover was out in 2011. I think it did pretty well when it first came out. I remember hearing about this book on and off for years in terms of one of his best, but I had not really paid that much attention to Stephen King until the last couple of years. So I definitely wasn't, especially when a book is this size can be intimidating. But I kept seeing it all over TikTok. I kept hearing people talking about it. And I had messaged Amanda and I said, I think we need to do this one for a viral video because it definitely piqued my interest, especially after the last two Stephen King books that I have read. Salem's Lot, I really enjoyed. And then after that, I read Pet Sematary for our Summerween episode. And I really loved that one. Definitely caught my interest. Amanda was surprised because it had been out for so long and she wasn't seeing it yet on booktube. I definitely was reading it no matter what. And then she said she wanted to do it and we were going to do it for this episode. We don't recap. She probably already talked about, we don't recap whole entire plot and just give our thoughts and opinions, but I absolutely loved this book. I see why it went viral. And things go viral. I don't always agree and say, oh, that was a great book. But this one definitely grabbed me. I was so invested in this story. I loved reading this book. There were so many different things I loved about it. And I would say it's more of a love story than anything else. There are some gruesome things in it, but that is definitely not the tone. And it does revolve around going back in time and trying to prevent some things in history. I think when I originally saw this book, I had thought it was going to have a majority about JFK assassination since it's right on the cover. And I wouldn't say that is the main feeling from this book. It definitely has elements of it, and there are reasons tied to it, but it's more about these characters. Stephen King, I'm just more and more in love with his writing and get why so many people love him. And it's not even just because it's horror. He just writes really great books. So I'm definitely going to keep reading Stephen King for sure. And without ruining anything, I mean, when I say the love story, the characters of Jake and the love interest that he ends up having, I mean, oh, it was just, I loved it so much. I loved it so much. And especially, I would say, the last part of this book, when everything culminates to the ending, I feel it was just done really well. And he does talk about it at the end, about how he did tweak some of the things at the ending and it became the book that it is. And he originally had this idea years and years ago, but he ended up employing his son to help him with the ending. After I finished the book, I tried watching the TV show that was made for Hulu back in 2017, and I didn't like how it was portrayed from the book. I know they always say the book is better, and I feel like a majority of the time that's correct. There are some instances where I feel like the movie or TV series does match the book. The series changes a lot about what's happening in the book. I think that's why I wasn't liking this series. If I had just watched this series without reading it, maybe I'd feel different, but it felt so emotionally attached to this book in terms of how much I loved it that it was affecting me, and I only watched a couple episodes. I didn't even finish it. So I don't know if anyone has watched the series or if you have any thoughts on that. Let us know. I would love to hear any other thoughts on that. but 5 stars for me, and it may take you some time. I did a combination of the physical and the audio. I thought the audio was very enjoyable to listen to. It wasn't something that was annoying. I like the narrator's voice. Between the two, I felt like it was a very enjoyable experience. So I would highly recommend this, especially if you like really great fiction and a love story. And I would just say there are some horrifying moments of, don't want to ruin it, but just things that maybe not so pleasant to read about, but I loved it so much.
All right, so first I just want to address the change in the background, also the dog. This is Primrose. If you haven't been on my channel before, this is my little long-haired weenie dog, Primrose. And she is insisting on being in the video today. I can't get her to leave me alone. But anyways, I wanted to address the change of background. I did move. We are in the process of selling our old home and we have purchased a new home and moved. So very exciting changes. I have a lot of work to do in this house and I am gonna vlog a lot of it for y'all. And I'm gonna talk more in detail about the move in our TBR jar vlog that will be coming out, but it will be coming out after this. So this is the first time I'm filming in my new house and I just wanted to address it real quick. So we did move and that's why you see a different background. As far as 11/22/63 goes, I started out really enjoying this book. I thought, wow, this is such a fun book. I honestly had no idea what the book was about. I thought it was gonna be more of a nonfiction story about the JFK assassination, and I really was never interested in reading this book. Jen said this book's going viral because of this TikToker that's reading it and loving it, so we need to do a viral video on this book. So I said, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. Because like, I'm honestly willing to try to read anything, honestly. Like, there's not really many books that you can put in front of me and I can be like, no, I'm not reading that, not even giving it a chance. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it, let's read it. Also, Stephen King has been an author I have read a lot of in the past. The last time I mentioned that I had read a lot of his books, Jen was like, you need to tell us some of the books that you have read. And so just off the top of my head, I've read Desperation, Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is a short story collection. I've read It. I've read Dreamcatcher. I read Doris Claiborne. I've read the first book of the Gunslinger series. And I've read Salem's Lot. Oh, and I read the prequel little novella to the Thinner book that he wrote. I didn't read the whole book, Thinner, but I read a little prequel novella to that. And I think that's all. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. So I'm pretty familiar with Stephen King's writing. I do feel like he has a very distinct style. I borrowed the book from the library and it was I had to return it, so I don't have it with me, but it was probably this thick. And it was a hardcover book, so it was very awkward to hold. And at first I started reading it and I really liked it. I'm like, wow, this is not at all what I was expecting from this story. This is a pleasant surprise. I really like this character that's developing. I really like the intro that this book gave. So I was thinking like, wow, this could be my favorite Stephen King book. Throughout reading the book, I thought this is a really cool story. I really, really liked the concept. This book really surprised me that it was about time travel, and I thought that was a pleasant surprise. I really do like the way that he wrote about time travel. However, I got to 41% of the book and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was just losing interest. I just felt like struggling to get to it. Boring to me. I kind of don't care. Things aren't moving fast enough for me. So it just felt like he moved in the past and then you're following an entire life story. Like he gets jobs and he moves around and he makes enemies and he finds a woman and just all this stuff. And it was all like a very interesting concept to me, but it wasn't holding my attention. So unfortunately, I did have to DNF this book at 41%.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate you guys. If you have a viral book you think we should do for this series, please let us know. Thanks for watching, and until next time.